This is the Computer Beast desk, and as you can see, it's fairly cluttered. Now, considering how limited space is here, I kind of want to get rid of this guy, and that's what we're gonna do today. I'm really excited for this video. It's done at the point of filming this, and it's pretty cool. It's made a huge difference to the whole desk setup, but we'll get to that later in the video. But before we get to any of that, let's just get the fairly boring part out the way, which is me just listing the components that I'm using for this drawer build. Now, obviously, the most important component is the IKEA Alex drawer, which is actually surprisingly good for building a PC case in. It's very roomy in there, although it's a bit shallow, but we'll see how we get around that later in the video. In regards to the CPU, I'm using an AMD Ryzen 7 2700. This is a really good value for money, 8-core, 16-thread CPU. The motherboard that I'm using for it is an Asus X470 Strix ITX board. And then in regards to cooling, Scythe was actually nice enough to send over a big Shuriken 3. Now, we could have used the actual stock AMD cooler, but this is going to be quieter and it's going to have lower temperatures. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to see what this little cooler can do. And then I've got 16 gigs of DDR4, 3200 megahertz. It's a team group kit. It's a pretty good value kit, and it's also low profile, so it'll fit under that cooler. And then in terms of the graphics card, we're actually using an RTX 2060. I'm specifically using this because, well, it's got a very good NVENC like streaming encoder in it, and its gaming performance is okay for 1440p high refresh rate gaming. Storage-wise, I'm using a 500 gig WD Blue M.2 SATA drive. The M.2-ness of the drive means that I don't have more cables that I need to worry about. And then the power supply was actually sent over by Corsair. It's an SF600. These are really good small form factor power supplies. I think I've actually covered all of the important bits. Now, for those of you that have been following the channel for a while, you probably recognize the core components here. That's because I actually used this in my streaming PC upgrade a couple months ago. But now we're small grading it, if that makes any sense. Oh, that's a terrible joke. But now, with the boring listing of stuff out of the way, we get into the very exciting assembling of the drawer PC part, which starts off with me building some IKEA furniture. Currently, this is the configuration that I've chosen. We have the graphics card standing upright about that distance, as far back as we can get it from the drawer. And then we have that fan as an exhaust, so it'll suck that hot air out, hopefully. It means that these cables do lie on the CPU cooler a little bit, but it's not a disaster. And finally, before we actually cut holes in the back, I have two kind of thought processes that I'm going through here. The first one is either cut two holes out, so one all the way from the top down to here, and then also to have this cut out for the rear I/O and the power cable. I thought about just leaving the whole back off and not dealing with it at all. The thing is, though, that's like, if you take this bit out, the bottom of the drawer sags quite a lot, so you need a little bit of support in the back. If you see here, we've got the holes that you actually mount it to the drawer with. So I cut just above that, right? So just above that, I cut all the way along and literally throw the top bit of the drawer away and just use the bottom bit to reinforce the base of the drawer. So yeah, I'm gonna take it to a wood shop and I'm gonna talk to the people and see which one they recommend. This is the design that I ended up going with for the back of the drawer. I know that it's not nearly as elegant as, you know, cutting an exact I/O hole and cutting a fan hole, but you know what? It's particle board. So I'm actually quite happy with that. Dust is going to be a hella issue, but that's fine. Here, though, is where I'm a bit more worried, because I obviously had to cut the back of the drawer of the actual cabinet out as well, because otherwise there's nowhere for cables and air to go and stuff like that. The thing is though, it kind of removes one of the 3 kind of like weight bearing planes. And because I'm gonna use it to, you know, prop up a desk, you know, we're losing 33% like weight bearing capacity. Yeah, so hopefully it's all gonna be fine. We kept all the actual mounting holes. As you can see, the bit that we're getting rid of is just, oh, come, focus, is just like a bare bit of particle board. Okay, well, there we go. We have a lightly modified IKEA drawer, as you can see there. My only concern at this point is that the back of the drawer and that cutout, that they're not gonna align properly. Because I didn't measure it. That was the only place I could put the hole. Whoa, look at that! It fits like a glove. It actually almost looks like I measured it. Okay, so now comes what's in my opinion a fairly scary part, which is actually mounting the standoffs. Okay, so it mounts fine. The only problem is we still just don't have proper access to the bottom USB ports. Okay, so very exciting stuff. This is actually the final configuration that I'm gonna be using for this build. Well, at least at the moment. It looks a little bit like a server tray, but that's kind of what I was going for. Now let's start at the front, where we have some addressable RGB, which might shine nicely through the top of the drawer there. Obviously you need that. That's like a minimum requirement in any build. And then we have the power supply here, with a cable running along out here. One slight concern that I have about this awesome little power supply is that, well, the hot air is gonna exhaust into this fan, which is gonna blow it over the graphics card. And then back here, we have the PC. Now, it's gonna be very close, height-wise. I really hope that it's actually gonna fit in. But, you know, worst case scenario, I can just take the bottom of the next drawer up out to get this whole thing to fit. Oh yeah, and then finally down here, we have the rear I/O, which as you can see, this process didn't go very well. There was a lot of savaging involved. I pretty much just went to town on it with a combination of a craft knife and a file. And this is as far as I could get down. But I don't have something like a Dremel. A Dremel would have worked really well. Now another massive oversight is there's no power button. I forgot to buy a power button. None of the local computer stores have power buttons, so I've ordered one on Amazon. But for the time being, I'm just gonna have to have it on the whole time because it's really difficult to access the power. Oh, well, there we go. It's kind of powered on. We've got some LEDs running over there. We've got the motherboard LEDs as well. CPU fans spinning. The Noctua fans are spinning as well with some pretty good airflow over there. So now, I think we're at the point where we can kind of put it in the drawer. And now it's time to finally see if it fits. So let's go for it here. The power supply cable kind of lives with this whole setup now. Okay, and there we go. It's actually looking pretty good. Honestly, it looks like this was made by a professional, which obviously I am. But yeah, no, the only thing is that graphics card is looking pretty tall. Well, it's not touching anything. Like, it's actually fine. It actually fits. And I mean, again, the clearance is crazy. It kind of looks like I measured it. Let me give you a closer look here. Look at that. That is as snug as a bug PC. There's no PC on the desk. It's in the drawer, like next to me. I really am very excited about this build. I don't know if it's stupid of me to be this excited, but the thing that really gets me about it is that it's really easy to do as well. I mean, if I could do it, you can definitely do it. Usually when I do these projects, there's so much swearing involved. I didn't have to swear once while building this. It just kind of happened. It's awesome. But now it's time to see whether or not the thermals are okay, because at this point it looks cool, it wasn't that difficult to build, but if it's a furnace in there, there's no point in doing this. And considering that we're using the front handle hole for like front airflow, I was a little bit worried about the thermals. But as you can see from this IDA/Furmark run for 26 minutes, the thermals are actually pretty good in this case. It's surprisingly good. Like while gaming for extended sessions, this is the temperatures that I get. The CPU is running at, it's not even that hot. And the graphics card, that's kind of the temperature this version of the 2060 runs, regardless of what airflow situation you run it in. I'm really impressed with this. In fact, I think I'd probably be able to put a 2080 Ti and a 3950X in there, and we'd still be fine for airflow. One thing that I'd have to bear in mind though is dust is gonna be a nightmare. I think it's gonna be really bad. So I'm gonna give it 2 months and then I'll do a follow-up video where we look at the dust situation. But now it's time to do a little bit of gaming benchmarks just so that we can see what kind of gaming performance we get from this IKEA drawer. So with that, I think this turned out really well. As you can see, I'm super happy about all of this because usually my projects are really ambitious but end up rubbish, which is kind of the tagline for my channel. Like Dawid does tech stuff, ambitious but rubbish. However, this really worked out and it's awesome. I'm so excited about it. So if you want to see me streaming on this setup, I'll be streaming later today. I stream from 11 p.m. Pacific time every Saturday. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought of this build. Basically just tell me how much you liked it. If you have any other opinion, you're objectively wrong. I'm thinking of doing like a desk setup breakdown video where I talk you through this whole setup. If you want to see that, like this video and comment below telling me that you'd like to see that. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, do like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one. Follow me on Twitch for the streaming, on Instagram, Twitter, and Discord. And I think there's a Reddit server now as well, a Reddit page as well. And yeah, until the next video, bye-bye.